right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center. Welcome to the Wanda Coleman Theater. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Quentin Ring. I'm Beyond Baroque's Executive Director. And we're really thrilled to have with us tonight Venice Collective, a group of our favorite poets. And they're here to celebrate the release of A Shared Condition, their newest anthology. Really excited for the reading tonight. I think it's going to be a great program. Just to get into a little bit about Beyond Baroque before we get started, for those of you who don't know, we are Los Angeles' oldest literary institution, founded in 1968. We support the literary arts and the arts more broadly through sort of wide-ranging set of interlocking programs. We have a workshops program, including our free Monday and Wednesday night workshops. We have regular intensive workshops on Saturdays. We have multi-week classes. We have a manuscript lab going on right now that's working on the polishing of a first manuscript. And we also have a reading and performance series right here in this theater, pretty much every Friday, Saturday, sometimes Thursdays, sometimes Sundays. We have about 100 events a year, mostly poetry readings, but also film, dance, talks, fiction, nonfiction. So we do a lot for the community. We have an art exhibit as well, the Mike Kelly Gallery, which is upstairs. You should check out the show. It's great. It's by the artist Ansel Kroot, who's London-based. We have a bookstore, and we had an archive, which we just sent over to Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. So, yes, very exciting. So we're really excited to have everybody here. We can't do what we do without the support of our members. If you are not a member of Beyond Baroque, if you're able to become one, it's a huge help to continue this programming going. I don't think I need to tell everybody that the situation in the United States right now is pretty dire in terms of funding for the arts, especially from the federal government. There's worse threats out there for all kinds of organizations, and so to whatever extent you are able to help, it is a big one. Membership cost is a little $60 if you're a senior, $75 is a regular membership, and $100 is a dual membership. It gets you into all of our events for free if you become a member. Gets you a discount in our bookstore, on our paid workshops, and it helps keep the space going. If you become a member tonight, we do offer a couple of premiums. First is a book that Beyond Baroque published called Song Again by the late Peter J. Harris, who's a fabulous poet, passed away relatively recently. He's dearly missed, and this is a really wonderful book. Spirit of Venice, we also have old copies of Baki, which is a legendary literary magazine, one of the greats from the 1970s. And so this is Baki 8. There's a number of them that we have, but folks like Kenneth Rexroth and Leland Hickman and et cetera, are included in it. So if you become a member at the $75 level, you get one, $100 you get two. Sign up if you can. I did want to also acknowledge our presence here on Tongva land. Beyond Baroque acknowledges the wrong done to indigenous peoples, settler colonialism and genocidal practices, violent dispossession of their land. And as an arts organization, we are committed to uplifting indigenous writers, their narratives, and their art. And saying things like that are sort of under attack right now. And so I think it's particularly important to acknowledge that history and affirm our stance in being indigenous communities and of everyone who is marginalized or oppressed. I really want to say thank you to our staff for working on this program, particularly for Yvonne Salinas, who is our programs manager, who really did a lot of work to put it together, as well as to Eric Alberg, who is running things in the booth. We have a sub in the bookstore, his first time working for us, Antonio, as well. So be nice to him. He's learning the ropes still. But without further ado, I just want to get into the program. This is a group of writers. They're friends. They're really important members of our community, and they're really fabulous poets. And I just love it when they come together for these anthologies, group readings. It really means a lot for us to be able to welcome them. And so I think it's going to be a great lineup. We're not going to read bios. We're not going to sort of delve into all that. And so I think we'll just take it from the top, and we're going to welcome Marjorie Becker to read. So everyone, please welcome Marjorie Becker, fabulous poet. I'll ad-lib a few nice comments. She's wonderful.
Thank you all so very much. I want to really thank Beyond Baroque for inviting us and all Beyond Baroque has done for us for so many moons. I also am super grateful to have been part of this particular poetry community also for a moon or two. And so, aunque parece mentira, although it seems to be, thank you, a lie, I have a plan. And my plan is this. A couple of our beloved fellow poets are not well tonight, and so I am going to read one of Jan Wesley's poems. I am so sorry that I cannot read as Jan does. I don't have her energy. I do have a Southern accent, which sadly enough, Jan Wesley does not. And I'm also going to read a poem written by our other beloved friend who is not doing very well, Brenda Yates. And then I'm going to read a couple of my own poems. This poem is entitled Great Escapes. After the first martini, she is radiant. Persevering man beside her delighted by a flourish of her hand as he goes on and on with his story of a dog run down in Beverly Hills, and he does go on. Tidbits regarding the market, wizardry of masseurs, and soon the drone of him makes her love the ease of ordering another. Mind skipping slightly to the edge of a fuzzy universe where she uncorks at the waist as he slips his hand between her hip and the bar stool she steps from like she's coming off a train. Sailing to the John, her black pump shoves the door open to a green tiled basin, its surface slick and gleaming like a mirror. And by morning, a note says, he carried her. She was light as air. And he leaves her 2 aspirin, a lost earring, his out-of-town number. When she wakes, I make her breakfast of tomato juice with vodka. Study how pepper twirls but never mixes in. A sadness settled in her like a tiny hotel where the pain resides, where she wanders its halls and checks in on traveling lovers, on the dead, on our father, screaming at us for something no one did. When I leave, she flashes her toes to the sun, clicks the chase down, 1, 2, 3, reminds me to bury her in our hometown in Renton. Reminds me to dance on her grave the way we did when they buried Jimi Hendrix under a plaque no larger than an oversized Hershey bar. His grandmother next to him under identical plaque, dead at 100, sleeping with one eye open, just a stride away, a simple, vigilant stride away for Jan. And the poem I'm going to read now, the poem I'm fortunate enough to read now, is one of Brenda Yates' remarkable poems. Brenda is not doing well, but I'm happy to know I spoke with her yesterday and she is doing a little bit better. So Brenda's poem is a love poem and it's a sex poem, and I don't do this often, although I am jealous of my fellow poets pretty often, but I will just say in public, I so wish that I had written this poem. Dream Song Filtre. Sometimes, after a long absence, even the long married lie together like strangers, stranded in an almost familiar place where not quite understood consonants keep tilting away into unfamiliar language. Sometimes, even the long married must become more patient, retranslate, reinterpret vowels of hesitant mouth, tentative hand, until suddenly the old intimacies remember desire's secret tongue of long, sweet sex intimate, now and effortless. Sometimes then, long married bodies, after stuttering into sleep, curve into long slumbers of silk yeses, yeses loud enough to waken dreams, which, reacquainting themselves, leave their rooms of waxy light and press together, talking in the low voices of lovers, longtime lovers, who speak softly their private dialect of hibiscus and hyacinth. I am going to read just a few of my poems, and I will say everyone knows that I'm a fifth-generation Macon, Georgia Jew. Everyone knows that. People probably do also know that my family was lucky enough to own a peach orchard in Byron, Georgia, not named after the poet. This poem is Summer Fruit. Seeking sudden solace, I redescribed his hidden name when he arrived, as though to reckon, beg for wild and only summer fruit. A melon I prepared, some cheese that I believed he loved, though then again, we often fed each other, waiting, then displaying reconnection and eternities of touch itself, premonition. I am going to read a poem, and I have to say that I can't stand being silenced, and I can't stand being abused, and for that reason, the title of this poem is even longer than the poem itself. I cannot stand being silenced. The winged wild abides, bestows, endures, inside prediction, spelling out a sense of peace, a way, a splay, a place where here we sense, we see, we wing the newest naked notion, placed where peace itself might murmur, shimmer, settle. The panic of deep desire, the knowledge only here, this nightfall panic purple, only stops because we say the word, the cries unheard, when those who still controlled broke, undid the world. I mentioned that, then turned, because my mention meant a sudden set, the wings the goddess of the depth bestowed. This poem about an energy, this poem about a reason that I flew to Mexico. Yes, this poem a search about the search I once decided might provide me custodies of art, of light, of longing for this winged fire, a piece of winged peace and flan, from far away or deep within the songs, the throng of light that somehow still arrives, abides within. The last poem I'm going to read has two beloved characters in it, and one of them is my late beloved father, Marvin Jerome Buddy Becker, and the other is my late beloved mother, Carrie Popper Becker. What we didn't do and what we did. Those early mornings up and on the brick house porch, so very close and sheltered by an aging oak, its acorns as quiet as we, just waiting, Daddy, me. The heat to be so dense, intense, yet later on, as we were waiting there so calm, expectant, and it's true, I never cried with Daddy, never felt untended, no. We also didn't make the food for breakfast as Mama would, nor sweep the porch, nor even rake the leaves that later showered down. We also didn't celebrate or conjugate our happiness together there, but rather waited for the paper boy whose name was Walter Bryant when he rode his bike toward us, tossing us a smile, another, a copy of the Macon Telegraph. Thank y'all so much for coming out. I want to introduce Jeanette Clough.
I too am going to start with a poem by Jan Wesley. It has an epigraph. Oh, the name of the poem is Inner Ear, and it has an epigraph. I saw the whole piece immediately just before my eyes and only needed to write it down as though it were being dictated to me. Gustav Mahler referring to his Symphony No. 8. My father made me listen to Mahler. I was 10, and he was eternally in love with classical composers, especially the ones who wrote as if every concerto or symphony would be their last, might even save the world. An uncle in the Navy, electronics wizard married to my mother's sister and always silent about what he did, built my father a mono record player and speakers that today could blast hip-hop and Led Zeppelin like the best equipment designed to whirl us through space. When Mother was out of the house shopping, perhaps finding liquor or selling her cameras to buy it, surreptitiously and with grief in her heart, my father would put on jazz or Mahler and crank up the volume until the whole neighborhood resounded like a concert hall. I loved how different he was from other parents. Eisenhower voters and war boosters, even in the Vietnam years when 3,000 Pennsylvania boys died with ears ringing from howitzer fire and grenades. On occasion, my father would play Rachmaninoff for Herculean complexity and speed, remembrance of visceral passages of Concerto No. 2 when his own father took him to see Rachmaninoff plays Rachmaninoff at Carnegie Hall. And sometimes I wish I'd been with my father before I was born. For the music, for Ella, Art Tatum, Gillespie, and Monk. Tonight, I sit in a seat so high above the music center stage, I'm afraid I could pitch over the railing, but I don't. Instead, both movements of Mahler's Eighth Symphony overwhelm my body with 200 voices, concentric layers of strings, timpani, tubas, and horns, crescendo so grand I boil over with what magnitude can do, with what we can do, when we are guided by another person's hand, when we listen and surrender, when we love this life enough. Okay. Pillars of light. Everyone sees pillars of light at dusk. A man descends a luminous shaft like a charm in a floaty pen and hovers in the freeway lane to her right. She has heard about these winged men and women who wear long dresses and are adorned with feathers, so we will understand they have come a long way and will leave again like migrating geese. She invites him into her car. It feels good to drive with the convertible down and a couple of milky wings streaming over the black back fender. It's LA at rush hour, and the beyond Baroque twilight settles its differences with the smog, turning the horizon cinnabar strewn with construction cranes that rest in their one-leg resting position, while day goes down and the night shift rises on platforms to the top floors, where men with hammers and blowtorches work through the dark hours into dawn. You don't have to clap. Jasmine Corridor. I know how to enter this storyline from a stale velvet seat screwed into a sticky floor. The screen, its color and smell, its opal shimmer, promises a story meant for me. A Byzantine lure of bells, and your body displays itself in controlled light. My body is a lonely creature. Soon it may commit another crime. I am telling you my secrets. They are small, shameful, and repetitive, the grenadine in a cheap, sweet drink. I don't resist the city's floral odors this time of year, especially in the corridor of jasmine. The morning is gray and predictable, the iodine sunset full of sleep. I wake up in the same bed, cat, then coffee. I'm losing sight of the form, which has to do with the sound the prey makes when a lion takes it down by the throat. In the heaven of animals, a gazelle falls in the chase, maimed, dying, and after the lion has eaten its fill, pulls together skin and bone, eye and nose, rising on spindly legs to sniff the air, and chants again the open plain. Evocation. I am surrounded by streets that are half lit, sheathed by metal and glass, and marbled with neon-veined red. The city's body is full of miracles and sad majesty, drunk from 24-hour light, so much cast onto familiar sidewalks, where I, among the arcades and eloquent columns grown from asphalt, among the sirens, am lost. Ardor. Take a direction, left or right, to the street where, oblivious to traffic, ballet boys and ballet girls parade down the center line, swaying on bright muscle legs, roughing up their toes, brushing the asphalt with lamb's wool and sequins, with lost elastic and satin ribbons, performing their steps with a sharp hunger that will solve every problem, with ardor hard as a rose-cut diamond set in platinum, in angles that refract and will not, no matter what, be still. Incognito. A cab parked at the curb. I'll start that over. A cab parked at the curb. Driver nowhere to be seen, like the spokes inside an uncut lemon, like absence neutral as the beige ruin of a suburban tract house. Interconnected malls occupy multiple city blocks, 4 levels above and 2 below. I want to find the Joie de Vivre motel, where every night the contents of cabinets rearrange, where 180 Darwinian finches trill the same cadence with different speeds, where doors fly open like uncorked champagne, tilt like orange and azure bird of paradise beaks, where we live incognito, abundantly, and at home. I'm going to end with a story about pianos. A sea of asphalt is marked with 88 parking spaces. In each space is a player piano. The pianos start automatically, but never together or with the same music. They play morning and night, rain or shine. No one can stop the pianos or park their cars. A fleet of bulldozers pushes the pianos together and drives over them until they stop playing. The pianos go elsewhere. The pianos string their 7 octaves 88 times across a field. Each speck of the field has a sound to play. Samba, hip-hop, jitterbug, waltzes, quadrilles, hula, clogging, and crumping, composed from downpours, staccato hail, arpeggios of thunder, and the silence of lightning. The lovelorn sigh of ladybugs, a basso profundo chorus of roots, cricket's fluty trill, the squeak of sprouting seeds, moth dust, broken quail eggs, a ring of standing stones, loose feathers, tufts of fur, all of it played together dawn through dawn. The field is plowed under, sold in sod chunks, or mowed, and soon can make almost no sound at all. The pianos go elsewhere. In the open sea, the pianos continually change direction. The upright player pianos crest a swell. Their piano wire splits into currents and the keys become foam. A dozen baby grands crash against a massive rock and the harps inside enter the throat of the sea. The sea breaks and heals, then breaks again. The pianos play constantly. Nothing stops them. Thank you. And thank you. Our next reader will be Dani Hardy.
Hi, everybody. Hi. It's really great to be back in Los Angeles, even for just a short weekend. I haven't seen some people here in a couple of decades. It's so good to see everybody. I've been going to catch you up. I've been living in Santa Fe, New Mexico for the last 5 years. Prior to that, I was in Madrid, Spain. Prior to that, I was in Dubai. And I'm heading off to go move to Japan in a couple of months. Even still, I call and claim California as home. And I missed it, and I've missed you guys. It's incredibly wonderful to be here in person with the Venice Collective. I'm not a little square in the Brady Bunch of Zoom land. And thank you all for coming here tonight. It is so good to see you. And mounds of thanks to everyone at Beyond Baroque, Quentin and Ivan and Eric. Thank you so much for making events like this happen, for all the hard work that you do and the dedication to creating a haven for creativity and community. Thank you for setting this up. I'm going to give you a little context for this image and then read two poems, one by Jan and one by Brenda. And then I'll end with two short poems of mine that are new. This is the launch of our second anthology. And if you have taken a look at it, the title is A Shared Condition. And you may be wondering, what is that shared condition? And it is a fair question. And there have been many definitions for that title. One that I don't think has been talked about much is COVID. There are mentions of hints at the pandemic throughout some of these poems, though that by no means is the main focus of it. And it was during this time that I started a project inspired by airplane safety cards and created poetry comics based on them. I kind of felt like the communal plane was about to go down, and little did I know where we'd be now. So kind of naive back then. And I'd look at illustrations like this and I'd kind of wonder what they'd say. Do they know each other, or have they just met? They're in the brace position. What is their conversation? The project is called Annotated Passengers, and this is Sadness. Sadness. Why do I love you? Love. Why do I want to tell you through a kaleidoscope of time, all tenses at once, everything that has ever happened to me? Remember. Why do I want to tell you through a kaleidoscope of time, all tenses at once, all that's happened to me? Why? Why do we stop asking? When did we stop asking why? Why should we stop asking why? Afraid. Why do I want to tell you through a kaleidoscope of time, all tenses at once, everything that's ever happened to me? Roots. Why do all conversations with you in my head start with an apology? Can we all just join hands? All of us? Mine. What did the innkeeper say after an evening freeze to the, what's that word? World. If two delta symbols walk into a bar, would there be twice as much change? Wait, how does this go again? Maybe. Is it maybe I'm amazed or baby I'm amazed? You. Are you enjoying this as much as I am? Amazed. Why do I want to tell you through a kaleidoscope of time, all tenses at once, everything that has ever happened to me? And I did that without my glasses, so sorry for some, it's really tiny font. Now this is by Jan Wesley. And this is that lingering need for ritual. Hey, come on in. Good to see you. That lingering need for ritual. Back then, as we say these days, of those days, the world was open, revolving, the body in masterful form, when a stretch of tendons attached to solid bones could get me to another family holiday. Garden sprouts hid in single seeds in corners of the earth peeled back to reveal science like small animals studied in careful hands. Soon the century changed and we lost sense of the risk of uncalculated danger the way a child might mangle fingers in a toy. We lose sight of forests, and the land is laden with theft and short breath behind the throat, no end to strip-mined streets where someone's dinner lies tilted in the garbage. This holiday of thanks comes with excess food, frozen streams of cars loaded with ritual offerings, the leaves on trees turning red, yellow, and dropping when they're through. I don't get soothed by turkey or lulled by tryptophan, the armor of football on TV unable to protect us anymore from family silence and squabble, and we collapse into drunkenness, expecting to be forgiven once again. I ramble off somewhere between dessert and sleep to a steamy motel by the beach, and a man lazes on the chilly sand. Like a habit, we slide a card to enter a room, the smell of him leading me to our brief reunion. I know this kind of escape is cliche, but when my mother took her life, I couldn't find solace in family commiseration and reasoning. So I found men who expected nothing except flesh and lusty animal sounds. A frenzy of the body being hushed and calmed by whispers of a stranger. He and I lean in the doorway, and the moon shapes itself into a half dome along the horizon, our hands resting on tapped-out stomachs, our heads fallen back to breathe in 100,000 stars a minute. And this piece is by Brenda Yates. Interlude, Kyoto. Windows flung open, wide night brings itself indoors, but never enough for me. No melancholy wannabe lotus eater long endures bitter onslaughts, chilling down to my smallest bones, bones which even now, despite spring, remember and hunger after sun-baked warmth. Rainy season days, cloudbursts, thundering restless nights until wind turns, and dawn, breaking bright, fructifies promises, ones that rise in the dark like colorless dreams while feverish green ideas sleep furiously. Overhanging heat, unruly July, even more lush August, brings energy-sapping days and nights too hot to sleep. Our languished spirits, complaints voiced, bend down for fitful slumber or not quite cool balconies. Then another falls fiercely vivid death. Autumn leaves on stoic ground and chilly air just right for a wandering walk's long meditation. Or to watch robed monks chase American children out of the temple after finding they'd climbed behind the Buda to see what he looked like there. Opening the door, I leave home. Winter's crisp breath excites my bare face. You can laugh because you know what's coming, but hope's inexhaustible. Although this year might be almost identical. Piled up, grotty snow, rutted, ice-glazed roads, frozen eyelashes, burning lungs, cheeks, ears, nose. Fingertips, toes too cold to move, part of winter's aged harvest of bones when no happiness need apply, only waiting to fling this aside. And these last two are mine. The birds are brown, like everything this time of year. Not yet spring, but not that far off. The trees are still very bare. There's sort of a door in the forest, built with no plans and so many wrong angles. Everything here is transparent, see through to the bones, and even those are open windows to the unbreak of tomorrow. Though it's tempting, there's no way to reach the melting clock that drips off a branch, heavy with the weight of time and almost touching a writing desk infested with ants. On the ground beneath the desk, a face in the shape of a loon sings a song off-key about the ocean. A jet flies over, low to the treetops, while the sky folds over and again, then disappears into the envelope of fishbone clouds, like a birthday card you'd mail to yourself. I'm attracted to your light. This moth hour chews time in pebble bites, one after another. The taste of you still in my city. I get dizzy at the start of your weather. Here's a puppet of a kitten. See how easy it is to make him wave hello, and also how come you're leaving so soon. In this moment, the moth begins to eat the ear of the kitten until no one can hear the clock breathing. According to the mountain, the way we'll get through this is the way the hand goes through, the way the kitten meows, and God bless that other thing. Let's start the countdown clock of many alphabets, of magic hour and magic hour weather. Cars in the distance roll over gravel. The air tastes of chili roasting, a heavy coat in the heat, the unfolding of a magician's cape before the woman disappears. Thank you. Thank you. And before I go, can I get a little light and take your picture? Because I want. And next up is Paul Lieber. Thank you so much.
How you doing? I can't see you, but I know you're there. Yeah, I'm going to start off with a poem by Jan. I'm conflicted because I'm sad. Jan is in hospice, and she feels like she's here, but she's not. This is a poem of hers. She was an editor for films, and this one, it's called Rough Trade. There's a poster of an ape on the wall, mouth wide, holding a neck above his head, twice the size of his hand. And in his other grip, he mangles a strip of film that flutters like a tattered flag. The movie is nailed into place by numbers on a hard drive. Now the room open past its bedtime. The man who keeps me late has gray tincture to his face and likes to call out, "Honey, baby, sweetheart," as he touches my weary shoulder to signal he wants me to cut the shot here. The machine heats to a hum, and my fingers almost blister on the knob in constant shuttle from stop to go. Illusion subdues reason. I slide a fancy netted seat chair back from the screen, and his mood is brooding, perhaps unhappy with me, with my choices, and buttons of his shirt have come undone. With him, I keep the number of studio security in my pocket, and critical to survive in keeping my job. I lie to him, convince him my son is coming home, that I must unlock the door to meet and feed the kid a late-night meal. The man never even knows I don't have a son, or if I did, He wouldn't care as I exit the place through a land of innuendo and close in the ape. The boss who doesn't look up, dangerous smoke filling the room, the way special effects create disaster. He lights a cigarette in the dark, takes a hit, and I have him perhaps, and I leave him perhaps forever as he sits by himself in his radioactive glow. Okay, now I'll read some of mine. I'll just go in order. And, well, actually not. I'm going to skip the first one. This one's called Tax Season. I guess it's relevant, isn't it? My father, buried at the kitchen table under stacks of papers, fingers a calculator. He prepares his taxes. He can't be bothered. His humor swept away. Bankrupt, he perspires. Is he crying? Not now, but yes, when he revealed the time he walked in on his mother turning a trick. After that, she never looked at him. After that, she never recognized him. And after that, she took up residence in Rockland State Mental Hospital. But now my father fights the IRS, deducting and deducting until no one owes anyone anything. This one, why is my eye starting to tear? Am I crying? No, I'm not. I'm just got something in my fucking eye. This one's called You Left Your Coat, and it's in memory of George Murdoch, who was a guy I did a play with for a year and a half. It was called The Chicago Conspiracy Trial. And we did we were supposed to win a Grammy for spoken word, but we didn't. I think it was, wasn't it? I forget who won it, but anyway. You left your coat last night, the tacky hip-length one you'd always wear, but you were not in my dreams, so how did it get there? George, you called me before going into heart surgery, perhaps coincidental, perhaps to say goodbye, but for me it was just a call. Our photo together on the album cover leans on top of the bookshelf. Perhaps you could enter my dream in full some night, perhaps tonight, and reclaim your coat. The dream was not about your coat, just a prop, an incidental, a passing object, a thought, but it was yours, George, definitely yours. Really nothing to see, just hanging out with you missing. And this one, I have no sense of time. How am I doing on time? Anybody been timing me? No. Okay. This is called. It's from the book. This book that just came out of mine called Slow Return. But this one is called Then It Became a Szechuan Cafe. And the book has every poem is inspired by a photo. And this is a photo of Hasidic men with traditional fur felt hats at Crown Heights gathering. There's a line of Hasidic men with fur felt hats. With no date at the bottom of the photo, they've remained in the same garb for centuries, the same unbending beliefs and the mystery encased in the Torah, the mystery of the mystery and the mystery. They could argue among themselves and God, hats in place and pay is growing. I might as well be Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, an atheist among them, an infidel who gobbles gefilte fish, lox, knedlach, potato kugel, and challah. I'd follow them into the cafeteria on East Broadway. I'd follow them into Friedman's on Canal and bite into blintzes at another table. I'd eat kasha vanishkas with eggs and listen to them argue forever from across the divide. Okay, last one. So in the Bronx, where I grew up, there were tenements. And The ground floor apartments were on street level, and there were no bars on the window at that time. It was a long time. And so you could talk to people by the window. Common, it was neighborly, and it was fun. This one is called The First Stripper, or Where is Jeffrey? His family lived in the ground floor apartment. His room looked out at the street, and a few of us would watch him cuddle his chihuahua on the windowsill. It was his stage showcase. Jeffrey always seemed to be grinning, especially when he danced a slow striptease. His hairless genitals swayed to a prepubescent tune. Not that I was that interested, but I did wonder if the impulse came from heaven or hell. One day I was playing in his apartment. I don't remember the game. His father returned home, opened the door in a loosened tie, strode up to his son and smacked him across the face, then said, "What did you do today?" Jeffrey's smile almost faded, like leftovers, stranded remains. I had no questions or explanations, though more stunned than Jeffrey. His mother wasn't home. I remember her name was Barbara. Barbara looked like Doris Day, but with a darker complexion. Unlike Doris, I don't remember her ever smiling. But Jeffrey found the perfect platform to entertain, to strip to the rhythm of passing cars and kids who took time out from playing marbles off the curb and stickball, to watch and watch. Okay, Sarah Maclay.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm grateful to be here, especially since I'm not around a lot these days. And thank you to Quentin and Yvonne and Eric and Antonio for making this night possible, and also Genesis and Jimmy in general. We were really excited to be able to essentially launch this anthology here. I always kind of feel like if I don't read a new book at Beyond Baroque, it hasn't been properly launched. So I'm also going to read a poem of Jan and a poem of Brenda's. And I wanted to let you know also that another one of us in this collection who couldn't be with us tonight but will be at other readings, reading his own stuff, is Jim Natal. And he's fine. So if you want to hear him read, there are more coming up. This is Jan's Nothing Tied Down. After the arguments, my mother would change how she moved. Hands limp at her sides, head lowered to the cross of her legs, neck swooped like a swan's. Swabs of evening sky swept through the woods along the house while I placed utensils on cloth mats of the dinner table, unclipped a field of laundry, and tilted my ear toward my parents' fight. One night, Mother planted me in the car, Father dimming in the driveway, tools and boxed up remnants of our lives lost behind the garage door as we sped off and bolted down the interstate to Maryland, where her sister took us in. Perhaps we stayed overnight. Perhaps it rained, and in the glisten of morning sun, I slept all the way back home. Tonight, the mind fights sleep with flashes of fire in the canyon as I ache for Mother's zeal of being uprooted, and I wonder what to take if the fire leaps the ravine. television in the room spits evacuation orders as I pack up Mother's letters to me before she died. Newscasters hesitate in the following hours, and so it seems we've been spared by wind direction, erasure of nature confined to unhoused acres of hillside grass. The smoke will linger for days. September's dried sticks scuttling across the road like the sound of fingernails dragged along a desk. Maple leaves sending messages from my mother. Reminders not to argue with my father, to turn off the stove. Remember to be home soon. I'm going to read a poem of Brenda's called 17 Syllables, Searching for Branches. And just to say, one of the things about Brenda is over the course of the years, she's often got this kind of restless relationship with trying new forms and approaches. So that's the title, 17 Syllables, Searching for Branches. It had to come to pass, but spring stayed bare, a stillborn veiled in snow and ice, while spirits uncalled stood alone above the world, struck dumb with no flesh. Blossoms, too, were lost, without form, couldn't entice their leaves, the bees. And bees live for love. Their loud, glad hums fell silent. Nothing matters now, buzzed from hive to hive. Then, locking themselves in their cells, they pined and swore never to come out. What's the use? But once again, though slumbering late, nature stirred and spoke, incited idiocies, pricking hearts, bathing vines and roots with sweet rains, rioting the genius of a honeyed world. And I'll just read 3 of mine that are also in this book. A breathing lake. Above us, floating in the dark, like opened lanterns. As the water's onyx sheen closes to opaque, lotuses where stars would be. How we wanted to eat them with our eyes. How we almost did. So much closer now that we could almost pull them toward us like austere balloons, all around our stillness, our suspension. After Vuillard. This is after Vuillard's painting The House at Vaucresson. House is a dappled construct. House is a shadowed land on a small hill. House is before the abundant garden, the bird-like stems and butterflies of flowers pirouetting, nearly as large as the windows, or leaves like yellow diurnal bats. House is behind the woman in the satin pink kimono, face as large as the first floor. House is the tiny gardener, head as big as a rose, inspecting the hedge. Perspective is filigreed blue shadow below the white hibiscus, stamens longer than a hand, is below the dress of light, across from the curtains, just to the side of 3 tercets of windows, turning red as the roof in the evening sun, red as the tallest floribunda, is the woman with rose petal hair in the lattice of shadows, handing, is the dark canoe-shaped shadow on the roof, the finger behind the open curtain, the closed cerulean shutters, their slightly aged pastel, the texture of their rough wood, the door thrown open, the hot, sweet smell of summer-singed pollen, the soft sounds of garments landing on the floor. Is for sale, is her blue hat, is the cracked tectonic floor, is no longer there, is the sun hitting the pavers, the terraced dry dirt steps, all the fleurs flying, becoming monarchs. Perspective is the removed corset, the chair, the thorns, longer than petals, the flying night, the light flying, night coming on to the left, above the acacia, below the pine, illuminating the chorus line of genies playing their bagpipes as the cannas and the ultimate dwarf bearded irises unfurl, unravel, nearly ragged, vulvic, utterly, and the whole yard is full of flying things, abundantly tethered enough to stay in position for a time, for this moment. The blue, I'm telling you, I can't make out, though it's closer to larkspur than indigo, closer to denim, closer to bamboo. I guess I should be happy. How does it speak? And finally, sorry, my voice is so strange tonight. I don't know why. Before us, there is a mauve photographic bowl of rain, though some would say a cup, a sultry plague before the fandango of alleys, an armament armband tossed into the grim corvette at the rehearsal of velour and anise, anklet. A muzzle of parched starlings sleeping like geckos, geishas, geese, just lounging after the Sabbath of compromise kilt in kiln. I'm certain about the alleys and the alliances. I'm certain of the color of the bowl. And did I mention that huddle of parrots? Yes, 5, green, clustered near the beige of the third floor windows. After the honcho, the whole damn holiday opens, and the dam spills into the castanets of the waiting hand. And it's here the maraca ticks like a rattlesnake on a short leash. I'm certain of the Geiger counter, the saber, the stomping, the sticking, and the compensation. It's worthwhile. There's a moan in the attic and one in the basement, a twisting, tweaking, twerking in the den. To be clear, did I say that the bowl is the size of a valley? And did I mention this rush is the color of mauve? As the rehearsal velour deliquesces to velvet, velvet dissolving into the smooth vernacular of fur. There's a catch in the breath at the edge of the bed in the lush hush of morning. A slant, a sliver, a sip of new light in the palms. I'm certain of the armature of nothing, as I'm certain that the husk has cracked, its scraps concussed. There's a flamenco that rustles the edges of rust and of dusk and of morning, that rattles the dust from the corridors of musk. This is its cusp, as the licorice pernoes, as socks bloom into paisley stockings, as dawn's viridian muddle of leaves becomes a nest of trust, and armbands, guns are garters, inveterate seated deep. I'm certain of the moaning, the anemone, the memory, the tangle, and the tango, and the glow. As I'm certain of the shade of this blueberry vermilion and of the green parrots, I am certain, certain. Thank you. Next up is my friend and sometimes collaborator, Holaday Mason.
How many thank yous? A lot of people know, like Paul said, you're out there. My voice is funny today too, Sarah. Marjorie said we'd been together for many moons, and I asked Adrian how many moons are in 25 years, and he said 300 moons. 300 moons. 10 people. And Jani is here and not here, in fact. Brenda, I'm glad you're getting better. Jim, I can't wait to read with you. And y'all, I love you. And thank you for being my running mates. And you guys at Beyond Baroque, thank you. I'm going to start with a poem by Jan. It's called Elegy to TWO, Knowing. Elegy to Knowing. My mother is dying, and I am the only one who knows it. On days she is at peace, she brushes her hair 50 times and looks like Ava Gardner, manages my eggs, my favorite shirt, the timing of the bus. Days like that, she and I own it, roll it around in our hands, and then I imagine it's years later, people cooing how much I look like her, how pensive I've become with the omnivorous eyes of a pelican. Now, who writes that, right? Really? Fuck, the omnivorous eyes of a pelican. On days she starts drinking, misery sits with me at school, and when the bus dumps me at home at 4, she's weaving, smoking a hole in her dress, asleep on her side, collapsed into shame, and suddenly I am running with impatient boys, staring at a kid's chest, measuring how tall he is, the same time watching the house where my mother breathes like an anvil weighs down her torso, the almost invisible tremors. So I drive her to shop for liquor without any smell until one afternoon she slips away. The last time I run into her is in a dream years after her death. On a downtown street where I live, her wavy hair lifted like a kite, and we talk with a strain that snaps muscle from bone. Questions like, where have I been? Did I go to college? How's my father? And I answer carefully as I did when she drank. She asks, what do I do? And I say film, and her head tilts in a gesture of interest, says she wants to see when I made, and I tell her yes. Don't want to be pushy. Her stance shying away as I tell her to call me when she has time. The traffic moves like a parade, population gutted by heat, as she turns to get on with her day, and without the touch she used to rub on me like a salve. Separation is a dance, and I step back from her ghost, sudden transparency lost in a crowd. And when I wake at home in a sweat with patterned clothes strewn across a chair, I see she is not my mother now, and I am not among the dead. Her shroud of secrets forever held back from the living of why she had to leave. And then I'm going to, I wanted to mention this 300 Moons. There's a lot of old poems in here. There's new poems in here. It's pretty wonderful. I'm going to read a sonnet. Pretty soon I probably wouldn't be allowed to read. Thank you, Beyond Baroque, for letting us say what we want to. Hear, Marjorie Becker. Menopause. The pause of the blood. The not now or ever impasse of womb, iron of emptiness, the buried plasma roots of beginning, the end of the eggs, the ununion of skin, the played out tryst, the staunched memory stolen, heirloom scarred slit wrist, the unhatched, uncried, dried, blown out wisp of smoke, the sealed eye, silenced tome, floating black fish, unmade bed, the cessation of red, blank rivulet, the witch's song inside a death nest, 10 young drowning men in the surf, one on his belly, a newborn clinging to his back, screaming. Sarah, your stuff is so tidy. Look at this mess. Highway 99. Highway 99. You downshift into the yam heat. In the valley of grapevines, we don't talk of childlessness. Your elbow is a wing in the open window as a confetti of leaves and shadows rushes by. I know you've never seen these orchards in spring bloom, how the pink lanterns of light float down. Red potatoes lie on the ground now, the color of dried blood. I make the sign of the cross. The King's River smells of drowned cattle. Then Exeter, Pixley, Tarabella, sweet dirt all around, as faithful to the sky as water is to gravity. In Delano, sweethearts will wait past midnight when heat like a camel carries them to each other. Your shoulder is burning with the setting sun. I sleep and dream there is a family by the roadside dressed in Easter clothes. Abuela, mama, the father's good Panama hat points brim down under the car's yawning hood as the smallest girl's red dress opens like a tulip. She holds a grace of white blossoms, loco weed, bridal bouquet. I reach for her. I reach for you. In a swarm, battling ants cross and recross her two best shoes. Behind her, sunflowers snake through the barbed wire. I give you a palm full of almond blossoms. I dream of tumbleweeds, divining rods, and soil. When I wake, it isn't Easter after all. Still, we have to go to church, take what we can harvest. like Paul, I have no idea of the time. I'll read a little bit more. This next poem is also in a new collection out last year called As If Scattered. The poem is called So What If the Chimes Are Silent? It is Sunday. Look how the tiny unnamed birds in the pomegranate shudder, so small they'd fit together in my palm, yet they shake that entire tree. See how the shady side of the fountain has gathered moss so thick it might be clay one could mold into a strong vessel. It's always a surprise how the yellow rose vines rise from barren root, claw, thorn, and bud over the neighbor's wall, the one who's never liked me, until flowers consume the redwood fence, the way you wrap around me, and together we become an original carved from old scars. My red cup balances in the dirt, steam weaves from coffee in the orbit of morning. You quietly play the crooked guitar, so don't see me point to a knot of seagulls crossing the split open nectarine clouds, spider webs loosely drifting through the budding red maple until the gulls part into three, unite, part, unite again, caught in some invisible airstream, the way prayer sounds into and through, the way just sitting with you in the dawn and plaiting your hair seems everything one needs to stay alive. My red cup balances in the dirt. Yellow roses vine the morning claw through old scars. Caught in some invisible airstream, the sun rests the roofline. And I will close with an old poem from, I think it's in the first book. And it just happens to be a poem I really like. You know how this goes. It's called The Edge of the World. I offer you a small peeled orange and say, this is the earth. The Irish moss, quiet as a caterpillar, tempts you to dig your feet into its wool, loose its scent. Our naked limbs in the sun, we impress ourselves into each other, bear the unbearable light. Here, before the dark cold of the room where the man who has your face dies, we remain the sole witnesses as a single moth, a strange and barely blue one, seals itself to the window where it writes, we can't help who we love. And last but never least, Mariano Zaro.
Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. And the last reader, you only have to survive 4 more poems, and that's it. And you are done. A couple of things. The anthology has been published by Moontide Press, and the photograph that we used for the cover is by Holaday Mason. So thank you, Holaday, for your talent. I'm going to read 4 poems. The first one is After the Diagnosis. The diagnosis was not precise. It was not a name, an acronym, a statement. For him, it was a noise. Time will tell. Maybe some of the tests should be repeated. This is a diagnosis by exclusion. Spinal tap, lumbar puncture has been helpful, not always in similar cases, but is painful, you know, and it wouldn't change the treatment. Perhaps you are in the very early stages of something, and you already have been referred to behavioral health services. We have support groups, counseling. We are not going anywhere. We have checked all the boxes, haven't we? That's when the patient left. Then he took a train and another. He thought that moving will move the symptoms away, that the distance will create a space like a valley or a meadow between the body and its pain. They have seen him helping the homeless, cleaning their wounds with gauze and ointment. They have seen him hitting a dog with a wooden stick. They have seen him in museums, standing in front of paintings without blinking for a long time, as if beauty could cure anything. They have seen him kneeling before altars, burning fires on an empty beach at night, waiting for the worries to dissolve. He only wants to forget the symptoms without trying, like when you change trains and you leave behind your lunch box with a half-eaten sandwich or a book you are reading, the ticket tucked between two pages, or an old umbrella. But he cannot forget the body because the body doesn't forget you. The body follows you wherever you go and sleeps with you every night, like a lover who cannot breathe without your lungs and without your eyes, cannot wake up the next morning. You can wait until the end if it's worth it. The next poem, the title of the next poem is Vocative, and there is a section in Latin. I took Latin many years ago. I'm gonna do my best to read it properly. Vocative. In the second declension in Latin, masculine nouns change in the vocative form. The ending us in the nominative changes to e in the vocative. That's why the poet Catullus, when talking to himself in his poem number 8, does not say Catullus, but Catulle. Miser Catulle, desinas ineptere. Poor Catullus, stop being a fool. Nouns ending in ius change to e. When Catullus writes to Juventius in his poem number 48, he doesn't say Juventius, but Juventi. Melitos oculos tuos Juventi, sices missinat usque basiare, usque ad milia basiem trecenta, nec unquam videar satur futurus. Juventius, if I could kiss your honey eyes, I will kiss them 300,000 times and never be sated. Vocative case is used to address somebody directly. My mother wakes up screaming in the middle of the night. She sits on her bed and repeats her own name as if trying to escape a trap, neck tense, face flushed. She repeats her name until she is exhausted, out of breath. It's a dream, mother, I say, one of your bad dreams. Her dementia makes her believe that she is leaving the room. Call her, she says, call her. She has to come back. And I call her. I call you, mother, and I cover your shoulders with your bathrobe. I call you by your name, intact, as it was in your baptism. 94 years ago. I call you by your name, dressed in white for your first communion. I call you by your name, blushing the day you met Father at age 14. I call you by your name, stained with ashes when you lost your child. I call you by your name, ever changing in all declensions, nominative, vocative, accusative, genitive, dative, and ablative. I call you by your name and all the names. I call you by no name at all, and I kiss the top of your head that smells like sweat. The next poem is, the title of the next poem is Mouth to Mouth, and it has a short epigraph from Hamlet. King Claudius, now Hamlet, where is Polonius? Hamlet at supper. King Claudius, at supper where? Hamlet, not where he eats, but where he is eaten. Mouth to mouth. We bury our dog at the end of the back patio, my father and I, next to the wooden fence. The dog weighs 32 pounds, maybe 30 now. He lost some weight since he was sick. When we dig in the ground, we hit the roots of the neighbor's cherry tree. The shovel makes a hard noise, like metal against metal. It's cold on this quiet October morning. I wrap the body with a white towel. I make sure the towel has no stains and fully cover his mouth and eyes. We mark the grave with a cross made of small stones, 3 horizontal, 4 vertical. A crow lands next to the grave, starts pecking the freshly turned soil. I wonder if the grave is deep enough. The rain will scatter the cross stones. It rains a lot in winter. Come summer, the neighbor will bring us his first cherries. We will eat the cherries, the sweet and tart flesh. I keep each pit in my mouth until it's totally smooth. Every fruit has its own soul, my father says. I will be somebody's food one day. We become the ones who have eaten us. And the last poem is, the title of the last poem is Brother. And the group, we meet more or less once a month for many moons, as somebody said. And we read poems and then we give notes to each other. The beginning of this poem, Brother, was really poorly written. So I got notes from Jan Wesley. So the opening of the poem, I would like to read it as a tribute to Jan. And this is the last poem. Brother, who is this boy? I ask my mother. I am pointing to a black and white picture framed on a bookshelf. He is your brother, she says. The toddler is standing next to a stroller, wears a small hat. It's a summer day. This is not the first time I have seen the picture. This is the first time we talk about it. I am 6 years old. Where is he now? I ask. He is dead, my mother says. What happens when you die? I ask. Where do you go? Nobody knows, she says. Everything is the same. Everything is not the same. How did he die? I ask. Fever, dehydration, she says. What is dehydration? I ask. He died of thirst, she says. He was born April 27th, 1960. He died July 18th, 1961. It was a Tuesday. I was born April 15th, I say. Yes, April 15th, 1963. It was a Monday, she says. All my children came to me. All of them but you, my mother says. I looked for you. I had to look for you because I was old, they said. Where was I asked. You were inside your father, she says. Did my brother have toys, I asked. Yes, she says, but I told your aunts to take everything away, his toys, his shoes, all his clothing. You shared the same crib though, but not the clothing. I couldn't do that to you. Was he better than I was, mother? I asked. She touches my hair. He was strong, she says. He brought you here. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
A round of applause for all of our poets, please. The Venice Collective. Thank you all so much for coming. Come back sometime this month. Sarah Maclay, who read, will be teaching a workshop on March 22nd. We have a book launch for William Archila later this month as well. And at the end of the month, we have a book launch for our own new book, Poetry Goes to the Movies, which is poets writing about reaction to and engagement with the movies. Several of our poets tonight are in the anthology. I think they'll be back here for the launch. So it's on March 28th. In the meantime, enjoy yourselves. Buy some books. Have a good time.